Naples Church. I'm so excited that we're doing this this week. We've kind of missed y'all, so it's really nice that we're together again on a Monday night, and we'll be Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday night. So it's good. I hope you guys all have had a good day, and yeah. All right.
Hey guys, I'm gonna get my video up here and hold on one second as I get situated for watching tonight so I can see the people, see the comments. And it's great having everyone. As you can see, we have Pasha has how do you say it? Resumed his position, and he's ready to go for tonight. And so are we. We're excited. We have missed you. And even though we've started church, there's many of you that we haven't seen yet, and you're staying home and being safe. And just so you guys know, this is why we have online. We're going to have these nights like this on and off, where we'll do some teaching on some nights, and Wednesdays, different topics, until we get back to normal, which could be months. We don't know. So just continue to stay safe, continue to wear your masks, and especially now as things are opening up, please just follow your heart, follow the Holy Spirit. And if you just get that prompting, like, man, I should wear my mask, wear your mask. If you usually don't, but you feel like you should bring it or take it or not go to a store. I just really want to encourage you to follow those promptings of God, because He's trying to lead us and take care of us and protect us. I know that's not our topic tonight, but that is something my wife and I do. We just really trust Him to lead us every day. Not get hyper spiritual weird about it, but those that are the sons of God are led by the Spirit of God, and God does and will do everything He can to lead us and protect us.
Yeah. I would just say this is not the time to be throwing caution to the wind. Just wisdom is a beautiful thing. So just be smart, be careful.
Yes, we did switch places. You guys are very observant. I love that. But we don't have the pig tonight. We haven't hid the pig. We'll probably have to try to hide, something else. So we're going to look at relationships and different, how to relate to one another. And, it'll be probably a little heavier on the marriage. Just, of course, because we're married and we've been married over 30 years. But still, what we're going to talk about, these principles, are universal. You can apply these principles and you can apply them to every aspect of your life. So as we get going, let me just a couple quick announcements. Remember, we have the donut truck there.
Oh, I'm so excited!
On Sunday for the dads. And so if you can join us, we'd love to have you guys join us. It'll just be a fun thing for the parents and the families to have some those of you that want them. And so that's
who doesn't want donuts?
Let's see, is Dr. Steve watching?
Oh, never mind.
Steve.
We're going to eat carrot sticks and celery. Yeah.
So please, and we're looking at how to have a biblical world perspective on Sunday, and it's going to ask you some questions. I believe it'll really help us to understand moving forward and looking ahead. So I'm going to start laying a foundation, and also... one last thing too. Please, those of you that have known about Maria's family up in Minnesota, her nephew who is, they called in hospice, and it's a sad situation that has been kind of developing since New Year's, and his heart is getting worse and worse, so it's down to 10%. So they did call in hospice, and they haven't given him much time to live. So please keep the family in your prayers along those lines. And then also, if you've been watching on Facebook, her brother-in-law got hit, rear-ended on his motorcycle up in Minnesota on the freeway. He was recovering, but he had to go back on the ventilator. He is having fevers, and
he has 2 severe brain injuries. So there's just a lot of prayers that are probably sustaining him, and it's tough. It's the same family. My nephew and brother-in-law, it's the same family, and it's, my sister died, so mom's not in the picture. It's just a lot. It's a lot for all of them. So
it is. And so we just I'm just saying that. We just still covet and appreciate your prayers during this time. So thank you. So let's go ahead and start looking at different things. And I want to talk about the importance too of communication. How important communication is a key in any relationship, and you have to work at communication. You have to understand. And I'm just going to lead with this illustration, and then I'm going to open up with 2 verses of scripture. And then we're just going to kind of start laying a foundation as we get into the acrostic on people skills. And so today we had a meeting at church, and we did it on Zoom, and the staff was asking me certain questions about, the service. And so I'm thinking big picture. I'm thinking they're asking me questions. They're only wanting a specific thing in a small area, but me, because I'm the pastor and vision, and I'm thinking big picture of everything. So I'm like trying to answer it big picture, and it was Rick actually, and he's like starting to like get frustrated, and I'm starting to get frustrated, and I'm like going, well, I'm answering your question, but I'm answering it because I know I got to talk about this, and this has to happen, that has to happen, and I don't know about this yet, and this, and Rick just wanted one little small part in the message, and that's all I needed to answer. And so he was wanting one thing, I was answering another way. We were communicating, but we just weren't on the same plane as far as understanding. He wasn't and I wasn't. And so as soon as the meeting ended, we talked again, and he said, and then we brought a couple things up, and it was just a couple little things that was like he understood and I understood. And all of a sudden, boom, we were able to resolve that difference just that quick. But it was just simple little pieces that were missing or weren't asked or I didn't understand. And as soon as that happened, it was like the clarity just came into the room over the whole situation. And so much in our lives in relationships, it's that way. And because we're built different, it takes work to communicate. If you, like that book that was out there, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, I think it was. It's so true. We, especially guys, we're definitely from outer space. But 1 Peter 3:7 says this, in the same way you husbands must give honor to your wives. Treat the wife with understanding. So let's just stop there, understanding. And we've talked about this over the last few weeks. I'm not going to get into a lot of that. But the point is again, understanding, people skills. How do we relate to one another? And that is really the side of the mountain I'm going to come from, or we're going to come from this week, is the relating aspect, resolving conflict, how to relate better. Then Luke 14, verse 28 through 30 says, but don't begin until you count the cost. That's a great word of advice if you're single. Mm-hmm. Before you get married, count the cost. For who would begin construction of a building, remember that word, without first calculating the cost to see if there's enough money to finish it? Otherwise, you might complete only the foundation before running out of the money, and then everyone would laugh at you. They would say, there's the person who started the building but couldn't afford to finish it. Let me say this. Relationships are built. They just don't happen. And you have to calculate that and count that cost, that all successful relationships are built. It isn't like you just get married. The Bible says you become one and all of a sudden, hey, we're one. It's supposed to work that way. No. Spiritually, yeah, you become one. But you have to work at and build the relationship to become one. And that takes time.
Yeah, in the beginning, it's often, the newness and the fun and the thrill and all that makes it easier to get along. But anyone who's been married any length of time knows that honeymoon type stage ends. Honestly, anytime you go, you make any sort of major change, job change, location change, whatever kind of change, there's usually that time where you go through where you feel like, oh, this is the best thing that ever happened. And then you get to the stage, this is the worst thing that ever happened. And then if you can make it through that stage, then typically things balance out. And it's you know, what
Guess
it is then, a mix of the two, because there is no ideal, perfect thing. But just like you're saying, you build it to make it better. It's that commitment to change and just grow and do what is necessary. So
Yeah, and Denise and her husband watch us all the time, and she just said, building relationship never ends, and that is so true. It just never ends. It should get better, but it never ends. You always have to work at it. And here's my next part of, laying this foundation is that you will never live free of conflict in relationships. You just never will live free. I know. You just don't.
Such a bummer.
I wish you did, but you never will.
No.
But as you grow and you're married, hopefully over time they get less, but you'll never live free of conflict because we're just, as we said, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. We're different, and we have different upbringings, different ways of education. There's lots of stuff that causes that. That's why you have to build the relationship. Here's another thought is this. Remember, all conflict is resolvable. All conflict is resolvable when two parties are willing to resolve it. You can have peace when parties are willing to be at peace. And that's the thing about in marriage and in relationships, unless someone yields, there is going to be a crash. And, that's just the nature of it. Unless someone yields, there's going to be a crash. Now, here's another statement that maybe you don't think about when it comes to relationship. Peace isn't permanent. Peace isn't permanent. Why? Because you always will have conflict on and off in a relationship. So you have to make peace. I love this cute little, I love this illustration that I heard years and years ago about peace. And it was this. North and South Korea say they have peace, but it takes tanks, troops, rockets, the demilitarized zone, landmines, barbed wire, and troops to remain peace. Now, hopefully in our homes it doesn't take that amount of effort to remain peace. But they say
sometimes maybe. We've been married 30 years. Yeah, I'd say that's
probably
accurate.
Been a couple times. It's yeah. We're gonna move on right now. We're gonna lay that one to rest, and we're just gonna move on. Now, here's another thing conflict does. It exposes pride. And when you have conflict, there's a pride of self-preservation. And then there's the pride of sin. But what I have seen in my life is that, many times there's that pride of, you don't want to be wrong. You don't want to admit it. You don't want to change. You're just being difficult, upbringing. But a lot of times pride is a self-preservation deal. And so, conflict is hard, but it also, because it exposes weaknesses in your life. But then if you build and work on it, it actually makes then the relationship better if you can work through it, because then you don't have those same conflicts later.
It's good. I was thinking about an example of this in this part of the teaching, and because sometimes we as humans can be really funny, and we can want to, like my husband was saying, not admit if we're wrong when we are wrong, and it's evident that we're wrong, and we won't want to admit it, whether it's pride or whatever that may be. But and we'll try to almost say it's okay. I'm just this way because of this, and it's okay. And honestly, if you just kind of think of when we are wrong and we don't want to admit it, it's almost like you have a big pimple on your cheek, and someone's saying, you might want to take care of that. No, I don't. I am just fine the way I am. It's like, well, honestly, it might be a little better if you just deal with it. But I was just thinking about that, because pride is not an attractive thing for any of us. And issues in our lives that we do need to deal with, they're not attractive. And so I think the greatest thing we can do is biblical perspective. Protect the things that are truly worth something and virtuous. And our relationship say in a marriage, say a friendship relationship, a work relationship, whatever it is, those are far more important and valuable than that pimple on your face that sometimes we want to protect when it's not attractive, it doesn't help us, it's not bettering us. So I just think sometimes we have to put things in a perspective of, this is not pretty. this thing in me, or this part of me, or this reaction, or whatever, this is not pretty. It's not an attractive thing. It's not going to help me at all to protect this thing or try to act like it's not there or justify it. But when we just see behaviors and attitudes and things like that, when sin, a lot of times the Bible nails it, when we see it for what it is and we realize the thing that's worth protecting is not that ugly thing. The thing that's worth protecting is that relationship where there's conflict.
Person.
Yeah. Yep. And so I just like thinking of things in more natural ways, because like when we'll go from here and just say tomorrow Pastor and I have an argument, that will pop into my head. You know, like, okay, what am I wanting to protect here? I really don't want to walk around with a big pimple on my face. And the likening to that just helps me put things into perspective of, listen, that's not who I want to be. That's not who you want to be. We want to be godly men and women who are becoming more and more like Christ. And so those kind of examples just help me, even that was a little crude. But honestly, pride is quite crude. So,
it is.
Yeah.
Well, and two, when you're getting healthier, one of the great things to remember is, it's, and since she used the pimple, I'll use the pimple. All right. But,
sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
It could be a boil.
This is getting better.
And okay, so if you've ever, it's when you're wounded and hurt, and so say it's like you have you hurt your shoulder, and this is the boil. Okay, you might not see it, but say there's a boil there and you get touched and it hurts. It's the wound that hurts, and when the wound gets removed, then the body doesn't hurt. And so it's the person, you're not all bad. It's just that boil that's getting touched that's causing you the pain to hurt. And when you remove that out of your life and get healed, then when that thing touches you again, you've conquered it. And now you're not so many times problems in relationships, we take it so inwardly and we think it's us and we're bad in this. No, it's what needs to be healed. And once you remove that, then now that hurt, every time someone does something or says something, it's like touching that. You've removed it, and now we don't respond like we used to through hurt. We respond through healing.
Yeah, and the people closest to you are often the people that would touch that spot or brush up against it because they're in close proximity. And how often is it the people that we love the most, that we're with the most, that get the brunt of our hurts and pains?
Yep.
And many times, if we're not looking from a biblical perspective, then we're looking at, say he touches my shoulder. I get upset because you hurt me. He's the problem. That's kind of how human nature processes.
It's very true.
When truly the problem is not that he touched me, because if this wasn't here, there wouldn't have been any problem. And that's the beautiful thing about Jesus, is he heals us from the inside out when we just really get into his word like we are tonight, looking at the Bible and letting God, being in his presence, prayer, worship, just moving forward with Christ. As we do that, that healing process just keeps taking place. And honestly, the more elements we put in to grow intentionally in a spirit, spiritually, the faster that process gets going. And we start getting great momentum in our spiritual walk with God. And just like the Bible says, godliness profits in all areas. So
it's very true. So today is really, looking at when conflicts come up, why? Why am I responding the way I am? What's causing me to do these things? So here's a statement. In many relationships, there are major problems because of our inability to relate to one another. And that's really what what we're talking about, is we need to learn to relate, to resolve conflict, to communicate, to overcome hurts in our lives. And that means we have to develop relational skills. So when we look at relational skills, and we look at marriage, and we look at, men and women, because we are different, here's a good saying that we need to remember to help our perspective in our relationships, and it's this: the difference between men and women are meant to bring balance and blessing. The difference between us, between men and women, are meant to bring balance and blessing, not to disrupt, demean, and destroy each other. And because in my past, growing up in my home, and it still wants to pop up every now and then, there are so many times growing up in different things, because of my upbringing. And then we get married, just like we were talking about those hurts, there's things that my wife would notice or bring up in different things. And I would immediately, I don't look at it as a balance and blessing. I looked at that, quit yelling at me and attacking me.
Can we just say that this is hilarious.
Okay,
and
she doesn't really yell.
Yeah, well,
she doesn't.
This is what's funny, is that even the boys, our sons, as we were raising them, if I say something they don't like, then they're like, "Mom, stop yelling at me. I didn't raise my voice or change anything." How many of you moms are told stuff like that? It's so funny. It's like, my wife was yelling at me. I'm like, no,
she really wasn't. She just was
irritating. The definition. It's just irritating. Oh, baby, I love you. Yeah. Okay. Truth be known.
You touched my hurt. You irritated me.
Oh my God. Yeah.
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 You good?
I'm good.
Oh, me too. So anyways, remember, balance and blessing. And if we can remember that, another part of it is that God put us together to complement each other. And I forget who brought that teaching up, but, we're to complement each other. And so if we can learn to relate and learn perspective, it will greatly help us in our lives. And so let's work at this in these coming days. What time is it? All right, it's 7:54. Can I share some funny things with you before we, I'm good with the foundation today. I'm good with laying this out. And then next week, we're going to begin looking at the acrostic. Now, next week, tomorrow. Sorry.
Some days feel really long.
A lot of conflict today. Long week.
Oh my God.
So let me just share some funny things kids say, because, anytime you deal with relationships, especially marriage, kids can say the funniest things. So let me just share a couple funnies with you. I think I'm telling you, there's so much happening. It's good just to be able to just chuckle a little bit and laugh a little bit, and it just helps us. And then tomorrow we'll begin looking at the acrostic on people skills. Anyway, so here was kids' answers, what love is. When asked what love is. These are just cute little
Very
things.
Sweet.
It's just sweet. When my grandmother got arthritis, she couldn't bend over and paint her toenails anymore. So my grandfather does it for her all the time, even when his hands got arthritis too. That's love. That's sweet. That's the way life should be. And I hope as we all age in our relationships, we have a relationship like that. Here's one. You really shouldn't say I love you unless you mean it. But if you mean it, you should say it a lot. People forget. There's a lot of wisdom in that girl's answer.
Yeah.
Say remember, your heart follows your words. You need to tell whether you're dating, what you love about people. The other day, my wife and I were walking into a store, and I just ministered this a few weeks ago, and talked about just don't say you love them, but say why you love them, and what about, and she did something as we got out of the car, and and I just stopped and I looked at her. I said, honey, that is why I love you so much. It's moments like that would just be horrible if she wasn't there again, because there's these things she does all the time just why I love her so much and the consideration she has. And if any of you know her, you know these things are true about her.
You're so sweet, honey. Thank you.
Well, Father's Day's coming up, and I want a good gift.
Well, you're working towards it, baby. You're
That's just
on
a
the
joke.
right track.
Thank you. She actually already got me my gifts. How do you? How's this one? How can you tell how can a stranger tell if two people are married? This is Eddie, 6 years old. Married people usually look happy to talk to other people.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Here's one. Is it better to be single or married? It's better for girls to be single, but not for boys. Boys need someone to clean up after them. That is so true. That is so true. And
Okay.
I'm not just talking about cleaning up the home. We need these you guys to take care of us.
What would you do on a first date? This was asked of a little 9-year-old. What would you do on a first date that was turning sour? Little Craig said, I'd run home and play dead. You ever felt that way? Oh my god. Okay. And we'll end with this one. This
Ricky,
one.
age 10.
Oh my god, we love Ricky, age 10. Okay. What would make your marriage work? Tell your wife that she looks pretty, even if she looks like a truck. On
So
that
anyways.
note, have a great night.
Hey, at least we had a fun laugh, and you guys might be laughing at us for being dorks,
Oh my
being
gosh.
just weird. So anyways, but we love you guys so
We
much.
do.
And I hope you can put up with us, and we love these times, of teaching. And as I said, we'll be doing them on and off throughout the next couple of months. And,
Maybe forever, because we've liked this. You know,
Yeah.
it's just...
or maybe we'll just do them Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, or whatever.
Who knows?
But as long as you guys are with us and watch, and it's productive. That's what we care about. Is we want these to mean something to you and help you, and that you always get some type of truth, at least something out of these 20, 25, 30-minute time. And so we're right at that 30-minute mark, so we're going to close. But we love you guys, and you guys have an awesome day. Let me just pray for you just real quick, and we will see you tomorrow night. Father, thank you so much for everyone who's watching today. Help all of us in our relationships, how to relate to one another, how to listen better. The Bible talks about be quick to listen. Help us to be better listeners, slower to talk, and help us to be peacemakers in all of our lives as we move forward in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Hey guys, we love you. Have an awesome night.
Yep, bye.